I can start. I've been waiting for this all day. I'm so excited to just answer everything, you know.
Well, I guess first of all, we're getting to know you for the first time. What was the process for you getting to North Carolina? First, getting acquainted with Belichick and just kind of the process of getting over
I'm looking at your shirt, your Chicago shirt. I was in that area when we first met. So in I think 2000 and maybe 11 or 12, I was at Notre Dame as the defense coordinator, and he was scouting or talking at one of our clinics. Him and Coach Kelly are close, and that's when we first met. Flight former. How I got here, that's a much longer story. Where the rubber finally met the road with Coach and I. I can give you the Cliff Note version. So in 2020, just didn't really fit, had a hard time with the program, got let go. It was just a bad time. Really a blessing for me, honestly, in my life, but an adverse time. So, and I'm not sure it was a fit as so much. It might have been 2020 and COVID just ravaging the world, right? So hard to really look at any of those moments, too deeply in terms of being a fit or not a fit. But I'm at home. It goes down like that. I mean, you're in terms of professional, you're rock bottom. It's hard. So I had to restart, everything. And I didn't have anything. I had a computer. I didn't have a digital editing system, nothing. So I created a goal for myself with a plan to protect it. One of them was to do my own season for that fall. So I had selected 12 teams. I selected them based on defensive systems that were similar to what I had done. And I went NFL, college, NFL, college, NFL, college, NFL, college. And I was going to do the whole thing. I was going to game plan it, pre-create in advance, game plan it. I was going to walk or exercise while the team might have been at practice. Every part of it was going to be exactly, I wasn't just going to, I was going to wake up and go to work, which happened to be just kind of at a desk in the corner of the room, So literally, so I did all that, and I thought, can I create these advances? That was going to be the hardest part, because I didn't have any video. I didn't have a video system. I didn't have a clicker. I didn't have anything. So I just literally downloaded a real player, and then I started sending Omaha Steak packages to video coordinators that I knew, and they would send me zipped video. I would unzip it, which I had to learn how to do. These video systems have their own analytics systems, so I didn't have that opportunity. So how do I create real statistical data without having a video editing system? Why? Okay, Excel. So I had to, between my children and watching YouTube, I had to learn how to do Excel and drill downs and pivot tables and create real statistical data once I had the video taken off, which was a challenge unto itself, right? A real player, if you've ever worked on the computer, if you're not careful with your finger, it goes either all the way back to the beginning or all the way to the end. So without having each play clipped, it was a challenge. Took me a while, but I created 4 advances. And I thought, and I liked them. I thought, you know what? I'm going to send these to the teams. Not just because I was interested, and maybe they'd like them, generate something. And one person called me. One person. Bill Belichick.
You say you sent them to teams. Was it just sending them to NFL or college or combination?
I said, I had the first 4 games went college, went NFL, college, and I sent them to either the head coach or defense coordinator, whoever I knew. One of the college teams, the coordinator was a GA for me. So, I sent it to him. One person called Coach Belichick. He said, how'd you make this? He said, no. He said, where did you get this? I said, I made it. He said, how'd you make it? I said, I made it at my desk in my bedroom, So he blew, just on a personal level, he blew a lot of wind in my sail at that time. Yeah.
right?
Did he offer a job, or did you go in as a
No, I
as an
just
analyst
started.
or anything?
He then, you know, over time, like that's 2020. So he then over the next 2 years engaged me a little bit more with potential projects or things, or look at this, or what do you think about that? So I'm not going to get into the specifics of that because it was, you know, between him and I. But as I performed for him, I think he got more confidence in me over that time. Then I ended up getting a job at LSU with Coach Kelly, and then, you know, it became more of a scouting conversation at that point of players that I had either crossed over with in the SEC or were on our team. So, and then the Mountains moved, and he ends up at UNC and called. So it's just, I feel blessed beyond. And I had already pointed to this program, not just because Coach Belichick is the greatest football coach of all time, which he is, at least from my perspective, after being here doing this for 30 years. And playing before that, I played for Hayden Fry at Iowa. I worked for Hayden Fry at Iowa, and then all the people that I've worked for. There's really nobody like Coach Belichick. So, but I was also excited being at Notre Dame with Bubba. Like, there's an administrator there, kind of on the leadership team at the school at Notre Dame, and they were classmates. And so I had always heard about Bubba Cunningham, you know. So I was so excited to come here and have a chance to be also under his leadership. So special.
Jeremiah?
Hey, Coach. Jeremiah Topsfield Charles on this side.
Hi, Jeremiah.
Hey, just wanted to ask you about the play on the field. I mean, UNC is 2-4 right now. What is your personal midseason assessment about everything that's happened thus far under Bill Belichick, and what has happened on the field and behind the scenes?
Yeah, good question. You know, this is about winning, you know what I mean? So, you know, no one can stand up here and answer that question without acknowledging that first, and how, you know, how that's not necessarily happening. But we're process oriented, and that's real. It's not coach speak. So right now, I can see the improvement in the defensive line specifically. I'm charged with that task, so I really don't. We're operating at 40,000 feet to analyze or look at the program, like your question. I'm not trying to avoid your question, but I'm not really, you know, that's not my responsibility. I got enough meat on the bone with what I have to do in terms of my work with the D-line. So they are improving. Every man, right? Every single young man is getting better. And I can see that improvement daily. I'm getting better as a coach. I mean, frankly, most of my time over the last almost 30 years, next year will be 30 years coaching, has been with the linebackers, frankly, you know, inside and outside linebackers. So I've coached the D-line. I've obviously led units and led defensive line coaches. But I'm getting better every day, you know, coaching those guys. And I love it. I really do. I love it. And they're getting better. So my assessment is that everyone's improving. Morale in the D-line room is very high because everyone's improving, and and love is growing, and continuity and communication and cooperation and respect and all that. So I'm very excited about the future for the defensive line.
And to follow up, can you speak about Saturday's matchup against Virginia and talk about Chandler Morris?
Oh, absolutely. Coach Elliott's done a fantastic job, you know, and the group there, you know, his leadership, you know, letting him build it, you know, and taking the time to build it, you know, it's pretty awesome. So, like, I mean, almost without fail every year, there's a one-off here or there, but almost without fail every year, the oldest teams in college football, the oldest teams are the best teams, end up being the best teams. So their offense, of the 11 starters, has 11 seniors. So that is, and it looks like that. They play with great continuity. They play with maturity. They problem solve like older players do, in play, in game. So they're really fun to watch, and they're a special group. And the quarterback is the battery. He's got moxie. He's got skill. Coach's son, he's just a special player. And then you look at the offensive line, from defensive right to left, starting with their left tackle on over, and whether it's McHale, Noah, or the centers driving, they're all in unison. It's graduate, senior. It's like, so they play like that. They're mature, they're tough, they're big. They play together. They don't make mistakes. Offensively, they've given up less than 1 sack a game. I think they're number 5 in the country in sacks given up. So it's a special group and a special challenge. And at the same time, we have talented players and special players in our front. So now we're young. 7 of the 8 2 deep players are back. Will be back. We only have 1 senior in our group. So, but there's some real talent, and they're smart, and they're tough, and they're disciplined, and we're growing. So, and then like anything else, when UNC and Virginia link up for the South's oldest rivalry, not to be confused with the Deep South's oldest rivalry, 1892. When you're playing in a football game that started being played in 1892, like all bets are off. All bets are off. So, it wouldn't matter, 1995, Virginia brings into Chapel Hill a top 10 team, right? And, go ahead and check the results. So, this is an exciting matchup, and our room is super excited about the line of scrimmage in that matchup, Saturday afternoon.
Noah?
Hey, Noah Weisskopf, Tar Heel 24/7. Going back to everything you talked about at the beginning, when, I guess, did that idea first pop in your head? Was it like a moment, okay, or did you hear it from someone maybe, an idea to do this, or did it just pop in your head wait, maybe I should do this and see how this goes?
Yeah, so I don't want to talk flippantly about that moment, and because it was just really something, and you're down, and my whole life is football. I had never not fit, right? I had never not before that, and not since. So I had to unpack why didn't I really fit, with that team, and how did this really happen, and what's the future? Who am I? Like that quote where adversity shows you and introduces you to yourself. So I'm like, no. I mean, I can do a lot of things, but I'm a football coach. And then you start to create a plan create a goal, short term, middle, long term, and create a plan to protect that and attack it. Not only physically, but emotionally, mentally, spiritually, and professionally. So I had to do and figure out, because outside of the inability, outside of not being able to be with I installed a defense on Zoom, you can't teach tackling on Zoom, So outside of all that though, I had to learn, I felt good about my work with the game and the players. Did I feel good about my work, politically, professionally? Was I prepared for that? Am I good at that? How do I get good at that? So there was a lot of things that I needed to do and wanted to do and did, and one of the tasks was creating that season.
During that adverse moment, was there anyone that you leaned on pretty heavily, whether it's family-wise or from friend to a friend, or anyone specific that you really leaned on?
Of course. If you, you see a turtle on a fence post, it didn't get there by itself. So there's so many people that, were in my life at that time that disappeared. Moments like that, they end up becoming blessings, but kind of make you feel like you almost have like a biblical leprosy. You know, it's like holy cow, what's going on here? Like I can do this work, but it is what it is. So I kind of started over, had to start over, you know, and I'm still in the process. So, but with humility, whether it be self-discovered or forced, you know, I challenge everybody listening to try to self-discover it, because when it's forced, it hurts. It can hurt. It can really hurt. So, yeah, it was a great time, you know, in terms of looking back on it. Very hard at the time, though. Yeah.
Grant?
Hey, Coach, Grant Sasher at Tar Heels on SI. You know, speaking of Chandler Morris, going off of Jeremiah's question, what are some of the difficulties of going up against a dual threat quarterback? Because I know you used to be a defensive play caller at Notre Dame, and of course you're at LSU and Jaden Daniels was there, and I was there covering the team. So just talk about some of the difficulties of stopping a dual threat quarterback, and what are the best ways to do so?
Yeah, it's almost like they have 12 guys. So a lot of conventional offenses or other, now it's pervasive in college football, not so much in the NFL, although it's more, that run this style of offense, and have a player as the trigger puller there driving that can really run as well as the back, right? So I was at Oklahoma, we won a Big 12 championship with that group there, and you know, Kyler was fantastic to go along with Jaden, who was fantastic, both Heisman winners, and I was on the grass with both those guys. So you know, you get a chance to see firsthand, you know, almost like with a flamethrower. If you don't figure this out on a Tuesday or in spring ball, you're going to get embarrassed. So you have to kind of treat it like that. So you need to have a hat positioned to address that player if in the event he pulls it and runs. So that impacts coverage. You have to be aware of the pocket and how you rush, so that you can either force that player to throw from the pocket or push him in a direction where he doesn't throw it as well when he's on the move that way. So there's things that you need to be really thoughtful with tactically to deal with a player like that.
Shelby?
Yeah, I guess I was just gonna follow what you said earlier about the like people not reaching out. It's kind of like the Mike Vrabel quote about like no one texts when you lose, that sort of thing. Is that kind of what you're getting at, or?
Yeah, oh, absolutely. You know, it's no one's fault. It just is what it is. You know, so at those times, you know, through adversity, you know, you just have to figure out a way, and you end up inevitably becoming stronger and better. And there's nothing disparaging about the people that didn't reach out either. You know, it's just one of those things, you know. And the staffs, you know, when you talk college football, it's a small staff, you know, and there's not many teams. So there's not a lot of, it's hard. You know, we're a small fraternity of people. So, yeah, I was excited that someone did reach out, and I have a strong network of people mostly people that I've actually worked with, that got a chance to just I've been on a team with, and those are my greatest advocates.
Yeah, a quick follow on that. Again, just not to harp too much on it, but it's a cool story. I appreciate you kind of sharing that.
Well, there's so much more to it.
Yeah, so to follow up, right, I guess just kind of like moving it forward a little bit, how did that experience of, you know, getting fired and, you know, you're at home and you're going through all the tape, just all that stuff that you explained, how has that informed how you approach coaching now?
So much.
Yeah.
So much respect, so much humility. You're rolling along and you're doing really well and producing defenses that are, you know, electric. You get a head coaching job, you know, and I'm not sure that I did enough of listening to the laughter of, you know, failure, like Saint Jose Maria Escoravia, you know, you hear the praise in your ears. Be sure you don't miss the sound of the laughter when you were a failure. So, just being very thoughtful day to day, and being very present, and thankful, and understanding that I have so much to learn. So it's not far from 53. It's like I'm just getting started. I mean, I'm so excited to learn so much more about this business, defending, teaching, learning how to work with different age cohorts now as they're coming at me, you know. So it's exciting.
Yeah, and just one more, just really quickly, if you don't mind, I guess just, I mean, putting it frankly, like, it's been a bit of a difficult season so far, you know, results in the field not exactly what maybe folks expected, a lot of, you know, kind of turmoil, the headlines, noise, et cetera. How has, you know, all that experience informed, or just kind of prepared you for specifically this moment and trying to lead and within the team?
Very much so. And really my experience as a player, you know, I started playing football when I was 8. So you go through the ups and downs, and, you know, I think about the teams I was on. It wasn't necessarily a game we won, although there's a few moments like that. It's the people, the players that I played with, the coaches that I played for, the coaches that I've coached with. I get a chance to see Coach Belichick work every day. I get a chance to watch it. So I know what he's doing. And it's inspirational. It's inspirational for me. And I can think I'm, you know, playing the back nine, or I'm a little bit older than the rest of the guys, but at the same time that I can watch someone who's out in front of me and crushing it, really, honestly. So that's inspirational. So I can look within, I can think about my experience, but I can also just look down the hallway and be inspired.
Time for a few more. Let's go to Brian and then Spencer in the back.
Yeah, one small one and then one bigger picture. Obviously, Price Yates no longer with the team. Was he in that 2 deep, or was he just never able to get on the field enough for you guys? I only played 1 game.
Well, I don't know. I think Price would have been an impact player for us. He had some adversity physically. I'm not sure what's documented and not documented, but so I'm not gonna. I don't even know what I can say and not say. But he was always a great teammate. He had a physical situation in the spring, really, that then took the entire summer. As he then started to physically rehabilitate and acclimatize himself to play, he was out on the grass for literally a day or two, and then a different thing happened outside of his own control, you know, just during a play, which then put him back on the shelf. Tried again really hard. Like, he's a great teammate, always there, didn't miss a meeting, didn't miss a thing, just a wonderful young man and a wonderful teammate. And then it just tried to come back, and it just wasn't a thing for him at that time. So.
And then the bigger picture thing, you've obviously been at Notre Dame and LSU and Oklahoma and Nebraska, some of the best college football programs in the country. When this staff was
Iowa, did you say Iowa?
Iowa.
Go Hawks.
Some of those correctional Illinois schools. When this staff was brought in and the chancellor and the board of trustees made the decision, they talked about not wanting to play JV football anymore, wanted to be one of those marquee programs.
I don't know. I'm not co-signing that. I don't know
Sure.
the JV football quote. I can't. I weigh it. I can't quote. I can't. You're gonna have to rephrase the. I don't know what you're talking about.
When you look at this, what this program has, the assets that it has,
Yeah.
and the places that you've been at that have been playing at the highest level, what do you see as someone new with new, fresh eyes that it will take to get this program from there to, you know, playing in the college football playoff, or what are those stories?
I've coached in this rivalry game.
Right.
I was at Virginia.
Yeah.
I was at Virginia for 4 years. And looking from Virginia at North Carolina, you always saw a top 10 team. Like you're thinking, North Carolina and the brand is one of the top destinations in the country, period. So, and now that I'm here and you see the resources, this program has everything necessary, to include the players and the coaches, to win at the highest level. There's no doubt about it. It's just, you know, I'm not much of a gardener, but my wife Julia is, you know, and sometimes she takes our plants and like, she doesn't think they look great, so she prunes them way back, you know, and then you're like, what'd you do to them? What'd you do to all the bushes? Like, they look like they're dead, you know, and they're not. So it just takes some time for it to come back, and what the university decided to do, I'm sure it created a central nervous system shock, like to every single facet of everything. So I think that there's some time that's going to be necessary to recalibrate and adjust, and great things ahead for sure.
And Spencer for the last one.
Spencer Hospital with Inside Carolina.
Hi, Spencer.
You made the comment earlier about, you know, the older, more veteran teams in college football being, you know, some of the stronger teams every year. Coming into the year, you know, Carolina's D line, I guess, you know, they only retain 2 or 3 guys from the last roster. Can you just kind of talk about how you're able to turn so many new faces into one of the bright spots of the defense and just kind of that work?
I think I heard your question. The acoustics in here are a little wonky.
Yeah, so I guess can you talk about how you turned, you know, the D-line group was, you know, so many new faces compared to last year. You spoke about the strength of having, you know, older senior guys. How you were able to turn a group of so many new faces on this year's defensive line into one of the strengths of the defense?
I think part of it is like not acknowledging a turn. Like we're in that process. And during the acquisition process, you know, you want to be with like-minded people and with similar values and goals. So I got a chance to meet all these guys and spend time with them, and was pretty frank about the ones that felt like we were looking in a mirror at each other. Like, okay, I don't look anything like Fleazy, right? But we do. We're like the same. You know, I feel like I'm looking in a mirror when I'm looking at him, and hopefully he feels the same way about me, even though we don't look the same. So that's part of it, and we're growing together. And every day with respect and humility and diligence, and just trying to teach them and give them, you know, ways to improve in football and in their skill, and then help them become better men than they would otherwise be, and do that consistently. And because of that love, we're growing together, and it's not a finished product, but they're good people, and that's what Coach Fry used to say all the time. You know, if you have good people on your team, you're probably going to win. So.
Perfect. Good stuff. Thanks so much.